Terminal Recursion Session 1. This was the first actual playthrough that I got to do, and I did this while I was on the road for a speaking gig. And that's one of the cool things I like about solo play is that I can do this when I'm at the airport, which is when I did the whole write-up of everything that happened. Now, I'm not sure if this really qualifies as an actual play because I'm not playing to the camera. This is me giving you the synopsis of what happened. That way I can actually get this done and move forward with my game without having to be held hostage making the video at exactly the same time. So, if this is interesting to you, welcome. If not, well, see you later. But this is pretty cool in that it's a very straightforward system, and I wanted to show you kind of how I'm keeping track of it and kind of show you the exact steps that I took. So let's go over here and look at the actual way that I'm keeping track of this stuff. Now over here on the right hand is the status tracker. This is me keeping tabs on anything that applies across sessions so that one thing that happens here will change what I need to do in session 2 or session 3. So this center area is for just what happens when I'm turning over the cards and how this plays out. And the status tracker, you can see a couple of the kings are struck out. Well, spoiler alert, that's what happens in session 2. So I'll have to make a video about that and catch you up to where my interface is right now. But to begin, what we had to do is roll the danger die 5 times. Now, in the real directions, I'm supposed to have a Jenga tower of some sort, and I'm not going to travel with a Jenga tower. I am not going to set it up at the airport or in my rental car as I'm waiting on something, like never going to happen. So what I'm doing instead is I'm using the kind of, what is it? The resource die or random countdown approach where you roll a d20, and if it comes up a 1 or a 2, then you kick it down to the d12. If that comes up a 1 or a 2 when you roll it, then down to a 10, then an 8, 6, 4, and then if it comes up a 1 or a 2 on a 4, which is 50-50 proposition, you're out. Okay, so I'm calling it the danger die, but any time that it says pull from the tower here on the card that I turn over, I'm just rolling that die, the countdown die instead. So that's my solution for that. So we began by rolling that 5 times, and the result was that we were still at the D20. I think one of them was a 3, so I barely snuck by without it kicking down to the 12, but we are home free to begin. Then you roll a d6 to see how many cards do you turn over. Now, with the game, part of what you're supposed to do is turn it over one card at a time and resolve it. But what I'm doing is I'm turning them all over, recording what they are, doing the rolls. So I'm kind of going through the whole playthrough procedure so that I know what all needs to happen in this session. And then I prefer going in sequence, but if there's some place where doing one thing before the others makes a little bit more narrative sense from a storytelling write-up standpoint, then I will do that. So this was just kind of a static burst. You could have swore you heard a voice in your head for a second there. Who from your past sounds like a ghost in the machine? Pull from the tower. So I rolled a d20 and it came up a 5. So then, kind of my goal is to take all of this stuff of what happened and then write the story so that it would be what the reader would say happened in the story. But I'm not just going to write a story where it says static burst, I could have swore I heard a voice in my head and it was Eric, right? That doesn't really do much. So to me, I want more of a narrative framing. And after I do this, then I say, okay, here's the situation. Um, just a little bit of a end recap of the session, then a write up. And this is me just writing whatever comes up in my mind, and this is all of the write up and then end transmission. This is what I'm taking to put on the website. So if you're interested in reading through this whole thing, understand it is a first round draft. This isn't a highly polished kind of a thing, but my theory here is do this a lot, and then my first draft quality will get better over time rather than trying to spend hours and hours polishing and repolishing the same entry over and over again. So, this is going to be a quality through quantity approach. And I still want this to be good, but also you might find some typos and that kind of thing, which may or may not bother you. But this is kind of session one, where it came from, and I'm already off to session two. I've played through that, and I just need to do the write up, and I will make the video about that when I can. And if you are interested in this full thing and keeping track of it, here's the whole playlist of my terminal recursion playthroughs, actual plays, whatever you want to call it. I will look forward to seeing you there.